It's Thursday, February 2nd, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we wax poetic about the toys of our youth.
Let's do this. So I'm getting this new car tomorrow at 4 p.m. I have to go pick it up. And I had to go through the ordeal of buying insurance.
Now, for any of you who don't know our views on car insurance and the laws surrounding it in this country being the United States for all of our foreign listeners, it's kind of a scam. It's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically betting that you're going to crash or your car's going to get stolen or get messed up somehow. Now, not only do I not think that's going to happen, and I don't want to bet that it is going to happen. In fact, if I could bet that it wasn't going to happen, I would do so. And this is really a problem because the government says you must bet that it will happen.
Well, it depends on the state. Some states don't require car insurance.
Oh, really? What states are those?
No state we want to live in.
Great.
New York and Michigan actually have some of the strictest laws.
They do.
We happen to live in New York.
Yeah. So because I'm financing this car, I need a pile of insurance. Now, I'm going to explain some details because I don't think everyone listening knows everything there is to know about car insurance. But
we do now.
We do now. So first, I do the smart thing that a smart person like me does, and I call every single major car insurance provider, my current provider, and my company also acts as an insurance agency. At least one part of it does, so I called them too. The lowest quote was from my current provider in Connecticut. So they told me $629 for 6 months or something like that, which is great. Considering I'm financing the car and I'm not 25 yet, that's like a crazy price. So after I call everyone else and everyone else gives me a higher price, including the famous, infamous Geico, I called Allstate and I said, all right, give me that price. Then they did it wasn't a credit check. They called it a financial stability check.
Now, this is the point at which I think you could have pressed and gotten some sort of compens for that. But anyway, go on.
Doesn't matter. So they changed the quote from 6-something to 1,100 and something. And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally not buying that now. And the reason I didn't press was because obviously this girl didn't actually, she's an insurance agent, which means she's not an actuary. The actuaries are the people who figure out how much the insurance costs. The agent is just a salesperson. They basically type in my information into a computer, which gives them a number between 1 and 16. They type that number into a box, and then it tells them how much money to tell me. They don't know crap. So pressing, I figured, really wouldn't get me anywhere.
Like Phoenix Wright, press.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, the way they must have done some sort of credit check. I would assume that they did some sort of credit check.
Yeah, but the thing is, this girl didn't do anything. All she did was...
Doesn't matter, though.
Yeah.
If the company gave you a higher price as a result of anything involving a credit check, by law they have to inform you that that's why they did it, and they have to provide you with a free credit report.
Well, she said she did it because of the number that came out when she did this financial stability report.
I would have pressed. I would have been on the phone with every manager they'd send me to.
Whatever. So the next lowest was, of course, the infamous Geico. So I called them up and I said, I want the insurance at this price you said. So they said, okay. And that was that. Now, I'm a big fan of, and a big pusher of companies making their businesses run smoothly with computers.
That means you write stuff.
Yeah. So Geico actually had something really slick. Progressive also had it, where basically I went to their website and did a whole bunch of quotes before I called them on the phone, and their computers are so smart that it combined all those quotes in the database so that when I called them and told them who I was, they're like, oh, I see you did some quotes on the internet there. And I'm like, yep. So what happened was the first time I called Geico in the middle of a quote, the shitty phones at work cut out. I had to call back. So the guy loaded up the quote that I was working on with that person, or at least so he says. And then the third time that I called was the time that I got the policy. Then I get a phone call on the way home from Geico because they have to communicate with the dealer because the dealer can't give me the car unless he knows I have insurance, and he has to get the insurance card for me and all that kind of stuff. So they call me, and they're like, yeah, I got your dealer on the line. And I'm like, yeah, you got my dealer on the line. What's going on? And they said, we have to change your policy. I'm like, why? Because the car that they think that I have is not the car I have. They thought I was getting a 2005 Mazda 6, but I'm getting a 2006 Mazda 3.
Outstanding.
Because I'm pretty sure they loaded up a quote saved online that I just did to, check out.
You're lucky they didn't get the GTI instead.
Yeah, but if they did that, then I would have called someone else first because the price would have been different. Because it would have been a much higher price for the GTI than for the either of the Mazdas, because it's a crazy fast car. But anyway, so I said, okay, fine, and that because it made my insurance lower. A Mazda 3 is a lot cheaper insurance than a 6, so I was fine with that. Then they call me back later, the same thing again, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And they say, I chose a $1,000 deductible. That means if anything happens where I need to actually collect insurance, I have to pay $1,000.
Now, I have a $1,000 deductible on my car, which I'm still paying off.
Yeah, and that basically what it does for you is, let's say I crash the car and it takes $500 worth of damage. I have to pay all of it because it's less than $1,000. Let's say I crash the car and it takes $2,000 worth of damage. I pay $1,000 and the insurance pays $1,000, totaling the $2,000, right? If I took a $500 deductible and there were $2,000 worth of damage, I would pay $500. And the insurance company would pay $1,500.
Now, bear in mind that we live in what's called a no-fault state. Now, if you live in a no-fault insurance state, everything's weird. Because basically, your insurance covers you, and the other person's insurance covers them. And whenever there's an accident, if you have full insurance, it doesn't matter whose fault it was, whatever, the insurance just all pays out no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
In contented states, which is the kind of state I prefer, if you cause an accident, you are responsible for all of the damages resulting.
That's
and
the way
if you
it
don't
should
have
be.
insurance that covers it, you're kind of fucked.
Justice is the way it should be, which is that way that Rim just said.
I think no-fault insurance should exist, as in if you want no-fault insurance, you should be able to pay for it and have it.
Oh, yeah, if you want to fix a damage that someone else did to your car, you're free to do so. But at the same time, if someone else damages my car, I'm free to make them fix it, because they did it, if I can prove they did it.
Yeah, the problem with no-fault states is that they don't let you go after the people who cause accidents so easily.
Yeah, it sucks. So the thing here is that I'm financing the car, which basically means I don't technically own it. It's just collateral on this loan that I'm paying off to this bank.
It's a lot like a mortgage.
Yeah. So they decide how much they can force me to get whatever insurance they want me to get. And for some reason, they're forcing me to get the $500 deductible instead of the $1,000. I don't know why. That makes no sense. Why would they care? But, yeah.
See, if I were you, I would have called the bank up and been like, hey.
I don't have the bank's phone number.
I would have found it out.
I could have found it out, but I think they were closed at that hour. The thing is like, if I get a $1,000 deductible, it makes my insurance payments a lot less. So I'm wasting a lot less of my money on nothing. So I kind of want it. And I'm sure that after, I'm 25, I'll be fine. So, whatever.
I mean, I hate the idea of having to have car insurance. If someone else causes an accident, it's their dumbass fault, and they should pay for the damages to me.
Yeah, and if
I cause an accident, well, it's my dumbass fault, and I should be forced to pay for it.
Yeah, and if I think that I'm going to cause an accident, I'm free to bet on insurance and gamble my money and possibly pay out if I do cause an accident.
Also,
and if I don't want insurance and I cause an accident, that's my own damn fault for not getting insurance and betting wrong, and now I should be forced to pay out.
Even worse, if I had all the money that I've put into car insurance over the years, it'd be enough to put a down payment on a new car or cover any kind of damage I might have caused to myself.
Yeah, I know. And think about if I had taken that money from the insurance, right? I'm putting in, $700 to insurance the next 6 months. $700 in a savings account would get 3% interest.
3%? What kind of crap bank are you going to?
That's what you get that's the average for a savings account these days.
I get that on my checking account.
No, you don't.
Well, I do on the account that has $1 in it.
The one that has $1 in it.
I haven't switched fully over to that bank yet.
There's not much. Interest rates on normal savings accounts aren't so great these days.
Yeah, they are if you go with the credit union.
It's all in the 3 and 4% range.
Yeah, go to a credit union, man.
It's not the normal savings account. But anyway, the point is $700 a month. I'm going to have the car for 5 years, assuming that just stays the same. 700 times 2 is 14 times 5. That's $22,000 plus $7,000. 4% interest. That's a lot of money.
Congratulations that you're good at math.
Yeah. The point is, mad money's, yo, enough to buy cars and computers and gadgets. And instead, it goes to nothing. It's crap.
But at least you'll have the car tomorrow, and we might be driving out to Rochester with a bunch of our friends for a weekend of buying board games and playing them.
Hooray!
And playing multiple 8-player, 8-way Bomberman / Mario Karts.
We definitely need to buy some board games and play them.
Yeah, I got to say the gaming stores where we live are not up to par, and I think I'm just gonna have a little like game-gasm when I get back to Rochester.
Yeah, I think I'll buy 2 or 3 games maybe if they have what I want.
So in the news, for all of you who listened to yesterday's episode, we talked about the controversy surrounding Otakon's possible Artist Alley policy. Well, we're not the only ones talking about it, and like we kind of mentioned, there's a giant flaming shitstorm going on all over the internet.
Oh, at least the anime internet.
Yeah, the internet we care about, the geekly anime whatever internet. And Otakon today, Jim Vowles, the head of Otakon 2006, released an official statement regarding this. It's on the website. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically, he says that Otakon is not in capital letters, implementing, nor is it ever seriously considered a total ban on fan art. Our initial posting on the subject was clearly confused by some people, blah, 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 and we apologize.
All right, it was confusing. Now, I guess you could say it was confusing, but have you read it?
I mean, I could see, because the original announcement was posted under a thread entitled Official Changes to Artist Alley Policy. And while it was posted by the head of the Artist Alley for Otakon, there was language in the specific clause they talked about that does say something to the effect of, the above will be reworded depending on blah, 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 whatever the lawyers tell us. So, all right, if that had been it, I would have been, all right, obviously it was just a misunderstanding, they should have waited, whatever. But he says here that Otakon never seriously considered banning all fan art. Yet, if you read all the posts by the head of the Artist Alley in the Otakon forum since the announcement she made, she very much says that fan art's going to be banned. She doesn't use the word fan art. She says you can't use that word, which I agree with because it's not a legal term. But there are many quotes where she very specifically outlines what is and is not allowed. And what is not allowed is everything.
Yep. So, obviously, there is a difference of opinion between the head of Artist Alley and the rest of Otakon. And I think, even though it looks like we're going to turn out so that Artist Alley isn't ruined or anything, which is good, not going to argue that, it looks like Otakon's going to have to... they did a PR stumble for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, even if this policy went into effect and they were going to do it, I can't believe that Otakon would not have expected an insane, possibly irrational backlash from anything like this.
So I think that's the problem is Otakon, it doesn't look like this was a movement of Otakon itself. It looks like this was all the Artist Alley person.
Well, actually it was. She admits to this in 2 separate posts in the forums.
See? You can't have that. There's one thing where you have absolutely no democracy, and there's another end where you have too much democracy, right? Which would be all the members decide how Otakon is run.
Well,
that's
then
not
again,
a good idea.
I disagree because when I ran the anime club at RIT back in the day, basically every member of the executive board was in charge of a certain aspect of the club. The treasurer, the facilities coordinator, whatever. And unless the board voted as a group to overrule someone, which was a rare event, an e-board member was free to do whatever they wanted with their domain. And Otakon seems to run the same way, which in many ways works. The head of the Artist Alley is fully in charge of the Artist Alley, unless the rest of the board, as far as I can gather here, comes together and says, all right, no, we're overruling you.
I agree, but here's the problem. This Artist Alley person has stepped out of their role as head of Artist Alley and stepped into the role of who should be the PR man.
Maybe. I mean, then again, this is her own forum. And if she's running the Artist Alley, I say she could use the forum to post whatever she wants about the Artist Alley, as long as she's willing to take care of the possible PR consequences.
Yeah, I just don't think that that's an intelligent way to run things. If you're so public and you have so many people who you can upset or piss off or make blunders about, you should either have a PR guy where everything goes through that person, or you should, be real smart when you say things. Yeah.
I mean, I guess if I were in charge of releasing, say Otakon was doing this policy, and I was in charge of releasing it, I would have gotten together with whoever was involved and come up with answers to every possible question I could think of, and then made a big announcement about it on the Otakon site, along with all of the information, like a FAQ, and the whole webpage dedicated to this change that would diffuse the immediate reactionary backlash that we've seen happen here.
Take an example of a company that does PR well. Take Microsoft, right? Anything that Microsoft ever says is either said by Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, or an official press release. An official PR people, I guess, but they don't say much. They just kind of say these things that have already been written. I listened to an interview with one guy today. He just kept saying the same thing over and over again, and if they asked him to say anything that wasn't already something he knew how to say, he just dodged it entirely and said something generic. And that's that's the only way to be, unless you're one of those completely wide open companies where people see all of your internal communications, like something like Linux, where the kernel mailing list is all the communication and it's wide open.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted right now, you could just subscribe to that and know exactly what's going on with the Linux
You don't need
kernel.
to subscribe. You can just go look at it and browse it. But, yeah, if you're not completely open so that no one has any misunderstandings about what you're doing because they can see everything and it's completely transparent, you need to be like all those real corporations that keep everything complete secret and make no official statements and no comments except for official PR. And, when you have such a loose kind of super strict thing like Otakon that is as big as Otakon, sometimes these things happen.
I mean, at least I really think Artist Alley is going to be okay, because at the end of the statement by Jim Vowles, he says, until then being when the policy is released officially, we respectfully request that responsible media and opinion shapers assist us in putting the rumors to rest and hold further questions on this matter until after the actual final policy has been announced.
I just want to ask, if he was here, I'd just ask him, so you're accusing your own Artist Alley head of spreading rumors? Is that what you're saying? And he'd probably say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know the staff. I don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes, but from my experience with similar events and similar types of organizations, my best guess is that the decision to announce it was made by the head of the Artist Alley. And it was probably a mistake, and now the president and everyone else are working damage control and dealing with the consequences, and they're probably rewriting the policy to either be the same but then explain it, or just rewriting it or scrapping it, and I guess we'll just see what happens.
Yeah,
we can't really comment anymore until Otakon actually releases the final policy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but people got to work on their PR skills no matter what the policy is. That's all I'm saying. Don't piss people off.
And remember that people are real easy to piss off on the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, every time someone's name is posted anywhere like Fark or Slashdot, and there's someone that people don't like a DRM guy or a spam guy, their email account's done. Just mobs of flaming flamers with trollish tendencies just attack them.
Yeah. Don't be those guys. So, speaking of PR and making announcements, I just mentioned a little minute ago, Bill Gates. Well, he actually did make an announcement today. He said, where's the quote? "The ability to really withhold information no longer exists. You may be able to take a very visible website and say that something shouldn't be there, but if there is a desire by the population to know something, it is going to get out." He's basically saying that governments trying to censor the internet are dumb and they're not going to succeed at all. They have no chance.
That's part of why I think Google seems to be cooperating with China a lot, in that they'll block whatever China requests. But I'll note that all over the internet, it's obvious how trivial it is to, even using Google, get around those blocks anyway.
Yeah, but look at this. The way I see this is everyone's looking at Google now saying they're all evil with China, right? And the stock dropped a whole bunch. Now Microsoft, which is a competitor somewhat to Google, is taking the other side against Google, the side that's supposedly good. By Bill Gates saying this, maybe he'll get, what Google just lost.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely a good PR move on the side of Microsoft.
Yeah. Gonna boost a little Microsoft stock. If it goes down when you try to censor things, it'll go up when you say you can't censor things. It makes sense.
Though, honestly, the stock drop, from what I've been reading, has a lot more to do with the fact that the stock skyrocketed and was worth more than it should have been worth anyway.
Yeah, it was. There's no...
And Google has twice in recent memory, as in within the last month or so, ignored Congress about various issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll always make your stock go down, even if you're right. But as soon as it's a good bet to do that sort of thing if you think you're going to win, because when you beat Congress, your stock goes crazy through the roof. I think Google's stock drop was pretty well deserved after the little Google video sort of fiasco thing.
What the hell is the archive of American television?
No. But yeah, we that is terrible.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, no. But the point is that Google Video came out in recent weeks with the ability to buy episodes of shows on like NBC shows, I think.
Yeah, but it's real in my way, kind of annoying.
Yeah, and basically what happened is at first they didn't do it too well. They tried to do too much of a simplified Google design.
You tried to do too much with it.
So they weren't selling any shows. So they changed it to what it is now, but they're still not really selling like iTunes is. So already the networks that were selling their shows on Google Video were like, screw that, we're going to sell it on our own website and in other places too, because Google Video really...
You know what? That's fine. I wouldn't buy these shows from anyone anywhere.
Yeah, me either, because they're terrible shows. I think that's something else people have to realize, is that the shows that were being sold on iTunes were shows that internet people actually wanted to buy, while the shows that look like they're being sold on Google Video were shows that, like, people who don't even know how to use a computer, are going to buy. So,
yeah, every now and then if I'm in a laundromat and the TV will be on, I can't turn it off, and I see what's on American TV these days. And it's painful. It's painful to watch. I can't deal with it.
Yeah, but the point is that even Google has admitted that Google Video really hasn't lived up in terms of its, selling of legitimate content.
Yeah, but in terms of finding videos of explosions or cute kittens...
Yeah, in terms of finding all the funny videos on the internet, Google Video is the shit. It's awesome.
Though now there seems to be this trend of a video getting popular that is in no way funny.
Yeah.
What was the one we saw on Popular recently? It was a Google video of a kid sitting there, like, eating some pudding. Or yogurt or something.
It was something slimy.
And that was it. It was like 20 seconds long.
Because you know what? It's the people who haven't seen all this shit on the internet. Like, imagine if you were brand new to the internet, you were an internet virgin, and someone brought you up and showed you that video.
My God, it's a kid eating pudding on the internet. What the hell?
All those...
making a face.
It's, the never-ending September of Google Video.
If any of you out there don't know what the never-ending September is, just don't say anything, because... it'll make me feel old.
Go to the Wikipedia for Never-Ending September. I'm sure there has to be one.
I'm sure there is. I haven't looked, but...
yeah, that'll tell you what we're talking about. So we like hockey. Ice hockey. Not field hockey. You know who you are.
Hockey!
There's a goalie from, I think, Finland. And his name is Kari Lehtinen. I'm pretty sure that's the correct pronunciation. And I don't know how good a goalie is. I think he must be pretty good being in the NHL and playing for the Atlanta Thrashers. But, goalies always have fancy helmets, right? With a bumblebee or a tiger on them or something else cool. There's a lot of space to work with, so they like to paint something nice. Well, Kari Lehtinen is apparently a huge gamer, like... hardcore. And on his helmet, he has two characters from Final Fantasy X.
Yuna and Riku.
Yeah. So, if that's not cool, I don't know what to say.
The link has a nice close-up shot of him wearing this helmet, and it's very obvious. There's no way this is something else.
No, don't. It's not even a question. If you ask him, he'll probably just be like, yep, that's it, and that's it.
So, a company called Florinex Active in Israel has supposedly come up with a way to use electricity and a chemical to change the composition of the outer layer of the enamel of your teeth to make them highly resistant to bacteria and acid.
So wait. You're basically electroplating your teeth?
Kinda. What they do, now there's no scientific journal on this. This is just a kind of a press release thing, but it looks semi-legitimate. As far as I know, we'll see. But I think this is legit. Basically, they use a gel and an electric signal, and what they'll do is it'll carry fluorions into your enamel, which will replace the hydroxide ions that are currently there, which is kind of what fluoride does to a smaller scale when you drink fluoridated water.
So they're basically forcing the fluoride into the teeth.
Basically, yeah, it changes the composition of the mineral layer that surrounds the teeth and makes them almost invulnerable. And if you get the treatment every 5 years, you're pretty much immune to cavities, except for the ones that are like under your gums.
So you're electroplating your teeth with fluoride.
Basically. They don't have much more about it. I'm curious to see how this develops.
You know, if it worked and it didn't have any nasty side effects, like, I don't know, tooth pain or tooth pain.
I have adamantium teeth.
Or perhaps tooth pain, then I would go for it.
Doesn't look like it hurts. They claim to have done it to some people.
Really?
Apparently, people have been trying to come up with a way to do this exact thing for decades.
They
Mostly
never thought of
military types.
electroplating teeth with fluoride?
They've always thought of it. They was never able to do it. It's not really electroplating.
It's the same principle, I think. It sounds like the same principle to me.
Kinda. I mean, they didn't give us any very good technical details on it. But the militaries of the world have been contending with the issue of troops getting terrible teeth for forever.
Well, because you can't really brush your teeth in the middle of the desert. You know, it sucks.
Yeah, not only that, but soldiers tend to be nervous, so their mouth gets dry. And when your mouth is dry, that's prime breeding ground for bacteria.
Yeah, saliva is the cleaner of teeth more than anything.
I mean, that's what causes meth mouth in people who use crystal meth. They get dehydrated, and then their teeth just rot.
Mm-hmm.
And also, a lot of our troops recently are in the desert, which is dry air, which doesn't contribute very well.
Nope.
So there's been a lot of strides in research and tooth care in the military. And this is another one. It looks like the Israeli military is going to jump all over this once it's proven.
Well, you know what? If it works out, I'll have to do a scientific study of biting power in people
All right,
who've
what's
had...
with you and biting? What the hell?
If it gives me more ability to bite, it's all good.
I don't know how much ability to bite you actually have.
What's the purpose of teeth?
To chew.
And what is chewing?
Chewing is not simply a form of biting repeatedly.
Chewing is rapid and repeated biting. Hence, anything that improves my functionality of my teeth without, doing any bad to me is okay.
See, I'd be with you if you were, say, eating meat off of a cow. But you're eating meat off of a plate.
Sometimes that meat's hard to chew.
It's
and
not
you
my
have to
fault
chew
you
it
make
and
meat
chew
gum.
it and chew it, and you make meat gum also.
No, I think I learned the secret.
You think you learned the secret. Have you actually performed the secret?
You realize that I cook meats other than stir-fry, and my non-stir-fry meats are quite delectable.
My non-stir-fry meats are also delectable.
You eat almost no meats.
I eat plenty of meats.
Yeah, you won't eat any pork derivative whatsoever.
Bacon.
You won't eat, other than bacon. You'll eat bacon. You won't eat any of my sausages or kibasas.
I don't like sausages.
You ever had a beef kibasa?
No.
Oh, well, how do you know you don't like it?
I just don't like most wiener meats.
This one, how do you know it doesn't taste completely different?
Because I know.
You don't know.
I do know.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
You never had it. You don't know.
I know.
Provide me some evidence.
It's not a provable thing. So I guess science can't go there. There's no way to prove it or disprove it.
So anyway, today we thought we'd talk about the toys of our youth.
Yeah, our shows of our youth was pretty popular, and we stopped. What show did we stop on?
I don't remember.
We did the shows of our early youth, like the Sesame Streets, right? And after that, we watched more shows, but all those shows are really just toys animated. So I figured since that was a good episode that people seemed to like, we would just do Toys of Our Youth, which is sort of also the sequel to Shows of Our Youth because it covers the same things. Like, I don't know, Transformers?
Yeah, Mask.
Voltron?
Thundercats. Ninja Turtles.
Oh, Ninja Turtles.
I had a lot of Ninja Turtles.
G.I.
toys.
Joe?
I didn't have so many G.I.
I didn't have
Joes.
G.I. Joes at all, but I'm just saying.
You know what I had, though? I had Army Men.
I had Little Green Army
I
Men.
had so many Army Men.
Matchbox cars.
Oh,
Well, there's also... See, what's the difference between Matchbox cars and Hot Wheels?
I don't know. Yeah. I
Aren't
didn't
they
even
just-
look. I
they're
was
just
going to
the
look it up on
same thing?
Wikipedia, but I didn't, so I have no idea.
I think one is made by Mattel and another one is made by some other company.
All I know is I think I had both. I just had a whole pile of them.
Yeah, I bought what cars looked cool. I didn't care if they were Matchbox or Hot Wheels or Micro Machines.
Yeah, I was about to say, because Matchbox cars were awesome, but there wasn't so much non-car stuff to go with them.
Well, because the Micro Machines, what they would do, the Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars, what they would do is you get these ramps, and you would always send them down the ramp,
Yep.
or you'd push them around a track, or there would be a thing with a spinny rubber bit that would shoot them out and
Well,
make
those
them
were
do
way
a
later.
jump. Yeah, it would make them do a jump. Oh, the car wash. There was a car wash for them.
Yeah, I had that. It didn't actually work so well.
It didn't work so well, but that was a popular toy that I knew people who had it, but I didn't
had
have
it, and it was awesome.
I
Didn't
didn't
work,
have
but it
it.
was awesome anyway.
Yeah, but Micro Machines had like cities you could drive around, and it had
And
all
the
that
best
kind
part
of
was,
stuff.
remember waffle blocks?
No.
Oh, wow. Waffle blocks were these big, they were about a foot by a foot, and they were just big, flat, squarish objects, and they pieced together. And you could make large structures with them.
No.
Like large enough to make a boat and then sit in it, or make a giant cube and put yourself in it, or make
Yeah.
a stairway higher than your mom would like you to and then fall off of it.
What we usually did is at my friend's house, he had these basically what were cardboard bricks. It was just a cardboard.
Oh, yeah, we had those too.
It was just a cardboard rectangle, basically, that folded. It was a piece of cardboard that folded into a rectangular thing, and the outside of it was painted to look like a brick. And you just had a whole mess of them because they were cheap as crap.
We used to
And
throw them at each other.
Yeah, we just made stuff out of them, and then you usually took one of those little Fisher Price cars that was powered by your feet. You know, not the Power Wheels, which are cool, but you know the little indoor ones had like the yellow roof with the little red.
Oh, yeah, I had one of those. It was red with a yellow roof and a little door on the side.
It's like a little funny car.
The steering wheel didn't even do anything.
The steering wheel doesn't do anything. You Flintstones it. You know, you just push your legs in the ground to go, and you drive that right through the brick wall, and that was the funnest thing in the world.
I'd always put my brother in it and push him through the brick wall.
Yeah, that was good. Pushing helped to make it go fast.
Waffle blocks were, I guess, a step more sophisticated. Look online, you'll see them. But basically, there were these mini waffle blocks. I don't know if they were called something else, but the road pieces that came with them, because they had little road pieces, and you can make little houses and stuff out of them, were exactly 2 lanes for micro machines.
Really?
Thus, I would always build like the micro machine city with all my micro machine sets, and then I'd build like the suburbs with these things. It was high quality.
Yeah, that was always a problem when like you wanted toys to play with each other, but they were incompatible somehow. Like Thundercats and Lego Man really didn't go together well because Lion-O was like really tall and the Lego Men were kind of small.
Yep. But then you get those crazy, by chance, a toy works better with a different thing than you'd expect.
And that's when fun happens.
Yeah. My best story involving that is, all right, I had Mask toys. And say what you will about the show, Mask toys were freaking awesome. They were much higher quality than Transformers. They were just cars that transformed into things, usually into bigger flying things with missiles coming out of them.
Yeah, not into robots with heads, but...
No. And they also had little guys that sat in them, and they could stay in them while they transformed. But the guys were like 4 inches tall, 5 inches tall. And they had masks that you could put on them. Yeah, it's called Mask. And the coolest thing was that the Technodrome from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set, the Turtles didn't really fit in it. I had the Technodrome, and I had all the Turtles toys, and the Turtles were just really kind of big and ungainly in there. You couldn't even play with it.
Yeah, I had the, I think we already talked about this, I had the Thundercats lair, the Cats lair.
Yeah, I didn't have
The
that.
Thundercats guys only kind of fit in it. Like, there was certain parts where they were meant to fit in, but you couldn't really move them around in there and play with them.
See, the Mask bases were really high quality. They were huge in there, and they had little chairs and stuff, and they'd all just like hanging out. But the Technodrome, I basically turned that into my Masked Men's Death Star, and they'd roam around wreaking havoc upon the Lego Men.
I never had the Technodrome. I don't know anyone who had the Technodrome.
The Technodrome was probably one of the highest quality little toys I remember from that era in
I know
my
a kid
life.
who had the Ninja Turtles sewer, which was excellent.
I had that as well. It had the spiky ball you
Yep.
could drop into the pipe.
That was exactly the toy.
My problem was I had 1 foot soldier, and then 4 turtles, and Casey Jones, and April, and Splinter, and the Shredder.
Yeah, my brother was really the one who got all the Ninja Turtles toys, but it was cool because I was still playing with them or whatever.
Actually, yeah, I think they were Mask was mine, and the turtles were my brother's.
Yeah.
But we both played with them both all the time.
Oh, yeah, it was just whatever, but I think the kid down the street had like 3-foot soldiers, and we had 1 or 2, and another kid had a couple, so we ended up with enough, but it wasn't like... You know, if I was going to play Star Wars, I would need at least 50 stormtroopers or something.
You know what always bugged me, though, about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? The Turtles themselves were high quality, and so were their sets. Except for the Turtles on Motorcycles thing, which I don't get this trend of take a character and put him on a motorcycle.
I don't get it either.
We saw a Darth Vader one.
Well, I mean, when you looked at the Ninja Turtles figures we have one of every guy normally. We had Splinter, Casey Jones, April, Shredder, Bebop, Rocksteady, right? All the normal characters. Then we had, like... Donatello the Fireman, and
I didn't have any of those.
we had Michelangelo like the skateboarder, and we had all kinds of crazy stuff. Actually, Donatello the Fireman was one of the best quality toys.
But what always pissed me off about the Turtles was that they were high quality. How come the weapons that came with them were these flimsy, tiny, brown plastic, unpainted little pieces of crap?
I agree. They always got lost.
I lost all of them within about a minute.
There is nothing worse than a toy which A, does not stand up on its own in any position, and B, cannot hold its weapons properly.
I mean, I'm okay with like a big thing that shoots a tiny little missile that you'll lose, because kids are smart and they won't shoot them, behind the couch. We know better. Yeah. But if there's nowhere to actually put that little missile and it just sits there...
The worst also is when you want to like share weapons between toys. Like
never worked.
A He-Man figure is about the same size as a Ninja Turtles figure, which is about the same size as, I don't know,
RoboCop.
A Thundercat.
I had all the RoboCop toys, the ones where you flip their backs and they have caps in them.
I guess. Anyway, all action figures are about the same size. But if you could get, Leonardo to hold the Sword of Omens, or if you could get He-Man to hold, like, Donatello's stick...
I didn't know you were into that sort of thing.
I don't know, but if you can get that to happen, the winner is you.
I think the winner is Donatello.
Maybe.
But actually, in terms of guys that held guns, the RoboCop toys, if you ignore the gimmick of the fact that you put a roll of caps in their back and then you could flick it and they would shoot, meaning they'd make a lot of noise and piss your parents off. God, my parents hated me.
I think that was the purpose of most toys, was to piss parents off. It was like, hey kids, piss your parents off in the store to make them buy you this, and then piss them off with it and make them regret it.
But the characters came with their little guns were high quality and well done, and they fit into their hands and didn't fall out. And also, my parents were smart this time, as opposed to the Ninja Turtles, and they bought me 1,000,000 of the bad guys, and then I had RoboCop, and he killed them all.
Really? I figured I would make RoboCop lose.
I don't know. I liked RoboCop. I looked up to him as a kid.
You should have gotten the Terminator to kick his ass.
I didn't have any Terminator toys.
I didn't have any Terminators either.
Thinking back, though, I can't recall many of the scenarios I put my various action guys into.
I can recall a few of the scenarios.
I remember most of what I was doing as just, like, I'd have two characters, and I'd hold Donatello with this thing, and then he'd hit another guy with it, and then I'd, make that guy fall down.
I would usually try... You know how nerds will sometimes argue, if there was a hypothetical battle between this fictional thing and this fictional thing, what would happen, right? And I would try to, figure it out. I'd be like, all right, he tries to punch him, but he can do this. And then he would try to hit him with the sword, but he can do this. And then he tries to...
Yeah.
And then eventually I'd be like, that is the winner. And then I would make, a little tournament or something.
I always did, the good guys ganging up to get the bad guys, especially with the mask figures, because the good guys and the bad guys each had their own base. I gave the bad guys the Technodrome, and the good guys had, Boulder Mountain. And there'd always be infighting in the good guys. And then, one guy would always, try to be the hero and get killed. And then everyone else would be like, oh, revenge for blah, blah, blah. And then they'd fight back. And it took some priming, but it's all starting to come back to me.
We played with more toys than just action figures, though, right? I think we had slot cars are always cool.
Oh, I had 2 different sets of slot cars. And actually, I had model trains, old school model trains.
I had one model train. Actually, I had 2. One of them was all fancy, like a bullet train with lights and shit, and that was a piece of crap. It didn't work. But then I got a real train where he screwed tracks down to a piece of wood, a giant oval.
Yep.
And then put the train on it with the fake smoke and everything. And I only used it a few times, but I had it.
Well, I had from when my parents were kids, I had this old, 3-track electric train set that was old and metal and heavy and difficult to use.
Mine weren't that difficult to use.
But the things I had more fun with, and I don't know what they're called at all, but they were really, really, really realistic trains and these little snap-together tracks and 1,000,000 things to go with them. And they weren't powered at all. You had to do everything manually with your hands.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember any more than that. I don't know what they were called or anything, but they were awesome.
Yeah, there were quite a few toys that I remember having and not remembering exactly what they were. Not so much action figures, but other things. What was that thing that was like a ball with a disc? It looked like the planet Saturn, but you would stand on it.
Oh, and then you jump?
And then you jumped, and you grabbed the ball with your feet, and you just keep jumping, and then you could do stuff.
I remember seeing that when it first appeared on TV and thinking it was the stupidest thing ever.
I didn't understand the point of it, but my friend had it, and I remember trying
Just like that jump rope thing where you put it around one leg.
Oh, that's Skip It. Skip It's actually fun.
No, Skip It's not fun.
Skip It is fun. The thing about Skip It, though, that sucks is it's supposed to count the number of times you skip.
Didn't work?
No, that part totally sucks. It doesn't
Great.
do that for shit. Because the way it does that is you're supposed to roll the weighted end of the Skip It on the ground, and every time it spins around, it'll count 1. So usually you would get it swinging up in the air and it wouldn't touch the ground, and then it wouldn't count. So the count was worthless.
I remember Moon Shoes.
Oh, God. I saw those on TV, and I said, that's a gimmick. I'm not buying it.
They came out, and they were quite quickly recalled for the fact that kids freaking busted their heads open with them.
Yeah, well, there was that other Nickelodeon stuff, the slime, or the goop. It wasn't goop. It wasn't the actual slime. It was like this other stuff.
My brother actually got slimed at Nickelodeon.
Yeah, so did a bunch of people. It's pretty common. I mean, it's like, they bring in 100 people in there at a time, and they do it like 100 times a day.
Yeah, but it's cool. He got a little certificate, like, I've been slimed with the real slime.
This is just applesauce and green food coloring?
I've heard that. He didn't try to eat it.
Yeah, they try to give it to you.
All I remember is they let him take a shower and they washed his clothes, but they didn't dry his underwear all the way, and he was pissed off for the rest of the day.
Bastards. I would totally be pissed off and demand they dry my underwear all the way. Wait, did he have to stand there naked while they dried his clothes?
No, they gave him a robe or something. I don't remember. That was a long time ago.
I would have just taken the robe. Go away with the official Nickelodeon robe.
The one cool toy I remember, I don't know what these were called either, but they were like these I-beams and such, and you could make like a skeletal building structure or a tower or something. And then they had other devices that you could use to demolish them.
Mm-hmm.
They were fairly high quality. Once again, I don't remember what they were called.
I had Constructs, which were like... It was another building toy, and you would have basically sticks and little connecty bits. And the connecty bits, like...
What, like Connects?
No.
Like Tinker Toys?
It's sort of like Connects in that it's sticks that connect at the end, but Constructs have a different connecting mechanism, and everything is nice and square, and you could build really strong stuff with it really easily. And it was good for, like... spaceships and spacemen and that sort of thing.
I've noticed I don't really see Connects or Tinker Toys around so much anymore.
I see you can get a basic set of Lincoln Logs still. Lincoln Logs, actually, I had a lot of fun with Lincoln Logs.
I made giant, freaking, enormous, amazing structures with Lincoln Logs.
I never had enough Lincoln Logs. All I could make was a cabin.
Well, I had enough. I actually made like
And a fort.
large cabins that would be like a flat roof, and then there'd be other cabins on top that had like multiple towers. And
I didn't have enough Lincoln Logs for that.
One time, my brother and I tried to make the tallest structure we could make. I think it was 200 or 300 Lincoln Log units tall in the end, and then it fell over, and we almost cried.
If you want to make something big, the key, Duplos, man.
Oh God, Duplos! I had Duplos all over the place.
We had a giant thing of Duplos, but when we got into Lego, not Legos, Lego.
You know what? It's Legos.
Yeah.
Let them sue me. I'll bring it.
Yeah, go to legos.com and you'll see what we're talking about. Legos.com, www.legos.com. If you go to lego.com, you'll get something different.
But Lego pretty much dominated my childhood in ways other than Nintendo and Atari in ways that I can't even begin to describe.
Yeah, so I think we should keep Lego for a separate episode because
I agree.
It's so big.
We'll do a whole episode on Lego.
Yeah.
Legos.
I think Nerf might also take a separate episode. I don't know.
Oh, I felt so gypped. So the Nerf bow and arrow, I'll just tell this story. Remember the Nerf bow and arrow, which you don't see the original Nerf bow and arrow anymore for sale, which bothers me because it was probably the best Nerf toy ever made.
Probably. Maybe the Ballzooka stands up there. But...
Ballzooka was quality, and the Arrow Storm was awesome.
Yeah, the Arrow Storm was just the Ballzooka of the arrows, but...
Yes.
Yeah.
See, what I did is I modified my Arrow Storm to shoot the little orange ones from a later gun called, like, the Razorback or something.
The one that had the suction cup darts.
Yeah.
Because there's suction cup darts, bolts, and little arrows and big arrows. Those are the Nerf weapons.
Wait, bolts, those are the black ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I had the black ones. I used those as the sidearm.
That's the one. That's the sidearm. It has 3 black bolts.
Yes.
And you pump it to shoot each one with the power of air.
But then there was the suction pistol that you could cock it and have it ready to fire.
Dude, we had like the suction like SMG rifle. You would put a suction dart in the front and pull the whole giant spring-loaded contraption back.
Oh, I didn't have that, but I wanted it.
And it would lock. And then when you pulled the trigger, it shot a single suction cup dart like freaking hard. Like, bam! You literally you pulled this spring back like 6 inches. It was crazy.
All right, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna do a whole show on Nerf too.
Yeah.
But to finish my anecdote, oh my God, they sold out. When the Nerf bow and arrow came out, for those of you who are too young to know, it sold out immediately. Parents were fighting with each other, like violently.
I know what toy we're talking about next. Keep going.
Oh, God. Like, parents fought with each other, and there were lawsuits, and oh, my God. And my parents only found one. And me and my brother, there were two of us. And they knew that they couldn't arm one of us and leave the other one out hanging. So apparently they decided, for whatever reason, they gave my brother the Nerf bow and arrow. And I got this knockoff Robin Hood bow and arrow.
Ooh.
And it shot... Actually, the arrows it shot were harder, and they felt like higher quality. But it was an actual bow and arrow, as in you pulled the string back and let go. And those arrows flew maybe half the distance the Nerf bow and arrow did. My brother pooned me in a royal way.
Yeah, but at least the foam darts didn't hurt. Yeah, so speaking of toys that are weaponry-based, that sell out, the Super Soaker.
Oh, my God. That was, once again, for those of you who are too young, when the Super Soaker appeared, that was a revolution.
Think about this. Water fights to that day were simply balloons, which are still the deadliest weapon on the field, no doubt. Right? The little tiny squirt guns, which were fun when there wasn't anything bigger on the field.
Or those one-shot bazookas.
Yeah, where you fill it up in the pool, and then you pull it back with, and you squeeze all the water out in this one-shot bazooka thing. Now,
I always carried 3 squirt guns on me back in the day. I had my bazooka, which was full and strapped around my back, just ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I had a normal, like, sidearm rifle thing that was a normal crap squirt gun.
Mm-hmm.
The clear plastic ones. And then I had one that took batteries. It was an SMG that took a little cartridge.
Those always sucked.
Oh, it sucked ass. It fired like 10 shots and it was done.
And it fired these tiny, tiny wussy shots. But it made a fun noise. Those are more fun as toys to play with without the water.
Actually, mine broke almost right away, and then I used it as a normal toy.
Yeah, but don't forget the garden hose.
No, the garden hose was always, like, banned.
No, we always had the garden hose just out there, and people would get it and then become the king. And everyone else wouldn't just run away far out of range. They would try to get
I remember some kids didn't get it. Like, some kids would, like, shoot me in the chest. It depended on what kind of fighting we were playing. I mean, sometimes we'd play, oh, you were hit, you're out, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, kids would, like, shoot me in the chest, and I'd shoot them in the eye, and I won.
So one day, because when you were a little kid, you always looked in the little Toys R Us circular in the newspaper on Sunday or whatever. You saw the Super Soaker in there. It was yellow and green. You might know it as the Super Soaker 50. It was the original Super Soaker. There was nothing before this. And it had this green little barrel. What do you want to call it? Jar?
Cylinder, I guess?
Cylinder?
Tank.
Tank, there you go.
And you pumped it up, and it pressurized. And I didn't get what the big deal was, because I saw the thing.
I saw a picture of it, and I said, that's a water gun? That's the silliest looking water gun I've ever seen. What a piece of junk. It's just a gimmick. Then I saw it on TV, and I was like, that's just a gimmick. Then, as soon as one kid on the block got one, everyone ran to the toy store immediately.
Because I guess the revolution was, until that point, basically the only dominating weapon on the field, other than water balloons, which were kind of rare because our parents would always make us pick up the leavings afterward.
Yeah,
so,
and no one ever actually bought water balloons so often.
Every now and then someone... I had a friend who had a water balloon slingshot.
Some kid would go somewhere and he'd get the ones that looked like grenades.
Those were terrible.
They were.
You got to get normal balloons, fill them up, and drop them on someone.
Yep.
But, I mean, you pull the trigger, and it'd be one little squirt, and it would barely go anywhere.
And you had to keep pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling.
And the bazooka was great, but you had one shot, and then you were done.
You couldn't actually get anyone wet.
The Super Soaker was a bazooka that just kept firing for as long as you held that trigger down.
You could just hold it down, and this constant stream of water came out. It wasn't the biggest stream of water, but you could keep pumping
I would pump
and
that
pumping
thing
and
up
pumping
until the release valve went psst.
Yeah.
And then I'd know, all right, I'm at maximum capacity.
It built mad arm strength in little kids, let me tell you.
Though I got to say, I remember many moments where, like, my opponent would not be pumping up continuously throughout the battle, and he'd start to slacken, and then I'd have more range than him, and that was the end.
Yeah. Remember, it was called the Super Soaker 50 because it shot up to 50 feet.
Well, then the Super Soaker 100 came out.
Let me tell you the story about the Super Soaker 100. See, we went to the store to get a Super Soaker 50 for me to compete with the neighborhood kids with their 50s. And the Toy Works, which is the store at the times.
That's why I had an onion on my belt.
Yep. Of course, it was a white onion, whatever. They were sold out of 50s, of course. Of course.
Make sangria in the turlet.
All right, that's three inside three references in like a minute. Okay. They were sold out of 50s. while we were standing in the store in the morning, a shipment of Super Soakers came in. All of them were 100s. And it wasn't too difficult to get my mom to buy me the 100 because there were no 50s.
Now, before Scott describes his dominance of the battlefield that ensued from having this brand new weapon, I mean, this is like in Civilization 2 when you get gunpowder and all your... Well, no. The Super Soaker 50 was gunpowder versus non-gunpowder. You know, musketeers versus knights. Knights, as Scott says. The Super Soaker 100 was when you got riflemen.
The Super Soaker 100... was the first water gun ever with the reserve pressurization tank.
So you'd pump it up, and it would fill both of your tanks with pressure.
Well, no, that's not what it would do at all, actually.
No, it would, because if you pumped it wrong, you could see the bubbles coming into the reserve tank.
No, that's when you're pumping it right. You see, the way it worked is there was the front tank, which was just where you stored all your water, right? And normally the Super Soaker 50 pressurizes that main tank, right? And then you release the pressure from it until it kind of loses its stuff, and that's it. And because it's so big and it has all your water in it, it's not really, it doesn't work. It's like a direct system.
Well, it has two main problems. One, when you refuel, put water back in, while you're filling your thing up, you're done. You have no way to protect yourself. Mm-hmm. And two, once you fill it in, you have to then pump it up before you can shoot anyone.
Yep. Now,
I remember holding down the trigger and pumping simultaneously.
The Super Soaker 100, behind the main tank of water, which is bigger than the tank of water on the Super Soaker 50, was a small, ball. It was like the size of a baseball. It was another tank. And you never opened that tank. It stayed closed all the time. You didn't open it. You didn't do anything to it. Now, when you pumped, it would take water from a reservoir, from the main tank, all right, and put it into that little ball. Now, the little ball was already filled with air, also from your pumping. And the ball also had a much thicker plastic than the main water reservoir tank. So basically, you would fill this little ball up with water and air to the point of it exploding.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Super Soakers, you couldn't actually make them explode. Now that I'm older and I realize, there's a rubber hose that went through it where the water and everything came out. And the trigger released basically there's a pin constricting the flow so nothing could get out.
It was like when you kink the garden hose by
yep.
And when you pull the trigger, it unkinks the garden hose.
Yep. But if you put too much pressure, it would leak out a little bit through the kink, and then it would maintain a solid, steady, not blow up and kill a kid pressure.
Yeah, but if you somehow modify the trigger to keep that kink there, no matter what pressure comes out, you can destroy yourself.
Yeah, you'll die.
Yeah. But anyway, you had this reserve tank that you would fill with water and pressure, and when you released it, not only was it more powerful than the 50, not only did it shoot farther with more water for a greater amount of time, but you could take the main tank off because it wasn't pressurized at all, fill it up with water again while you were shooting the water out of the reserve tank. So whenever all the kids are gathered around the hose to refill, you're just shooting them up.
And then I saw they started selling extra tanks.
Yep.
They came in a little backpack thing, and you could put 2 extra backup tanks on you.
There was even one Super Soaker that they eventually had.
Oh, it was the 200 or the 500.
I don't know what it was. It had the quick replacement tanks that you didn't have to screw in. You could just snap them in and out, and you could fill them by jamming them into this attachment at the end of the garden hose. So at the end of the garden hose is a little launch pad, and you would stick the end of the bottle in there, and it would fill it up real quick. And you could just pull bottles out of your gun and throw them away and stick new ones in, click, click. It was almost as fast as switching magazines in an assault rifle.
Of course, this arms race of Super Soakers eventually met its end with the final one that I cared about. Any Super Soaker beyond this one was when I didn't play with Super Soakers anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was a backpack filled with multiple gallons of water and a giant gun, and they were connected, and you pumped it up like a Super Soaker, and it was the most dangerous thing in the world, except for the fact that the kid wearing it, and I remember the kid named Dave in my neighborhood whose parents got it for him, he couldn't even move in the thing, it weighed so much.
Oh, see, I remember that one, but no one actually got that. There was the, let's see, which other ones do I remember? There was the one that had 2 barrels, and it was 2 Super Soaker 100s attached to each other, but with the XP technology. Remember they had the Super Soaker XP?
Yeah, I remember that. You know what XP was? It just emptied your tank.
Well, it emptied your tank, and basically the barrels were twice as wide, so your spray was more powerful and got people more wet. It was extra wetness is what it was. But it also emptied your tank a little faster, so whatever. But then came the my brother had the biggest XP Super Soaker. It was basically this. It looked like a giant laser rifle from Akira. And it emptied in about 4 or 5 full power shots, maybe even 3 if you pumped it up all the way, and it had like a pressure meter and everything. But when it shot about had to be at least a liter of water in a blast, like a half an inch wide. And then, of course, came the whatever that giant was we saw freshman year of college. That was like 2 giant, the Monster XXL. That was it.
See, that was the point when I had moved on from water gun fights to pranking people.
Yeah.
And instead of having a water fight, we had a water balloon slingshot, and we would launch water balloons at our friend's house, like around the corner and down the street.
Yeah, by the time the Monster came out, Super Soakers were done. That was it. It was too much.
Of course, in that same era, Nerf, which we'll do another show on, had many water fight-enabled Nerf weapons.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of arrows that had a sponge on the end that you could dip in water. And it held a lot of water, surprisingly. And if you hit someone with it, they were just soaking wet. It was kind of cool.
Sploosh.
Now,
So when I was real little, my favorite toy was a glowworm.
I was a big fan of my Light Bright.
Oh, Light Bright's good. That's the one you put the pegs in the thing and it lights up?
Yeah.
Yeah. That goes with Etch-a-Sketch and Magnadoodle.
Yeah, no, Magnadoodle was awesome. Ours wore out from years and years.
Ours wore out. Magnadoodle seemed to always wear out, and you have to keep buying new ones. It's like a piece of crap toy.
I used to manually play a little Sim City on mine. I'd draw everything bit by bit as I built it up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a geeky little kid.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Actually, a game that I played a lot as a child was Hero Quest.
Mm.
I blame that for a lot of my interest in role-playing games today. Because my dad got Hero Quest, and he would be the master for me and my little brother. And we played through that whole game, and eventually we kicked evil's ass, and it was over.
Mm-hmm.
All I remember is that I swear to you, my little brother cheated, stole the game, read the book, found out where that Boris's or Borax, whatever armor was, because when we got to the level, and we knew from the clues from the old man that the armor was somewhere there, he freaking runs right to the room it was in and gets it.
Yeah, he read the book.
Yeah, he denies it to this day, but god damn it, I was the barbarian, I needed that armor.
I don't think he'll deny it today if you asked him.
He was an elf, he had spells. What does he need armor for? Of course, I had an axe, so I got him.
Then you just chopped him up and took the armor?
No, actually, no, I didn't.
No, the board games I played when I was a little kid were like Dino Bones,
God, Candyland.
Candyland, all that stuff.
Actually, I played Monopoly a lot when I was a little kid.
Yeah, me too. I guess I liked that stuff when I was little, but not anymore.
Actually, one of my favorite games was Don't Break the Ice.
Don't Break the Ice is a good game. Cooties.
I actually never played Cooties.
I don't remember how to play Cooties. I think I might have played it once, but it's in the same series as Don't Break the Ice.
Don't Spill the Beans.
Don't Spill the Beans, which was, I don't know how to play that, but it had a pair of pants that you filled with beans.
Yeah, there's also Ants in the Pants.
Oh, maybe I'm confusing those two games.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, pants filled with beans.
I guess I confused Don't Spill the Beans and Ants in the Pants. And just beans in the pants.
One thing I remember...
Don't spill the ants. I don't know.
We had this memory game. I forget what it was called, but it was like remembering things game. And my little brother, I don't know what it was, but he would kick our entire family's ass no matter what.
Was it called Memory?
Might have been.
Because there was a board game called Memory.
Where you go around, you have to remember, like it's like the card games in like Mario 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's all the game was that with pictures on cards.
Yep.
Oh, what about Pop Goes Perfection?
That game...
You set the timer, you had to put all the pieces in the holes, and then push the stop button.
I had the Versus one.
Oh.
Where you have two people and they're mirror images of each other, and it had the best game mechanic ever. Well, other than, Tigris and Euphrates game mechanics. But basically, if you in Perfection, if you don't make it in time, it like pops up and scares the shit out of you.
Mm-hmm.
This one, when you finish, well, one, there was a timer, and if it ran out, it popped it up on both of you. But as soon as you finished, you had a button you could hit on your side, a big space bar.
And it popped the other guy.
Yes.
Of course, you could pop the other guy right away.
And you know what? Then they'd hit you.
Yeah. Oh, that goes to Simon, too.
Oh, Simon.
I never got Simon. I was played at other people's houses, but I got over it real quick.
Yeah, my friend Joe Oglesby had Simon. I didn't actually have it. I was pretty good at it. I liked it.
It was okay, but it's not a toy that you can play with for a long time.
So he had this toy. It was an afterburner type game. It was a video game, but it was one of those, you buy a VHS tape, and you play it. And then you have this thing, the light gun that you like point at the screen, and you have to shoot the tail jets of planes going by, and it had some sort of pseudo optical reader on it.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought it was awesome, but it was kind of dumb.
Yeah, I never liked any of those VHS games. Of course, what I did like, that we only played once ever, was actually really dumb, is one of those, the game where you have all the little football men and you set them up and then it vibrates.
Oh, my brother wanted that for most of his life. Like, he'd see it on TV, and he'd see it in the Sears catalog. And he'd be like, I want it. It's the best thing ever. And finally, one day, my parents got it for him, like, for Christmas. And it was this big deal. We set it up, and we ran it, and then he was the most crestfallen kid I've ever seen. It was like, wait a minute, they just move around randomly.
You know something? You want to hear something real scary?
Yeah.
My family actually, we played that once, which is me, my brother, and my dad versus my uncle and my cousins. We actually played like a whole football game out on that thing. It was great. We like we passed and we made plays, and it was great.
See, we were really big into spinny hockey.
Oh yeah,
we had one of those. We played it often. That's why I'm so good at it.
No, we didn't have one of those. We
also had
we had knock hockey. Knock hockey was the shit.
Ah.
I don't know. I should probably try to get a knock hockey table. They're hard to get now.
We had
If I ever have kids, they're getting one.
We had a bumper pool table when I was real young, which I wasn't old enough to use it. But then we got a real pool table.
Nope. It seemed like everyone we knew had one, except us.
And we had a foosball table.
Nope.
But I was never good at foosball. My little brother was a freaking foosball prodigy.
Nope.
I remember when I was little and indignant, I never would play against him because he'd always beat me. And he'd always get mad because I wouldn't play against him.
There was also Crossfire.
Crossfire was the most awesome game. Oh my god.
I mean, you just put these basically these metal marbles in this playing field. And there were two metal marbles.
Crossfire.
And one metal marble had a plastic chainsaw around it.
And the other one was a triangle.
The other one had a plastic triangle.
And that one was a lot harder to move.
Yeah, one guy was the triangle and one guy was the chainsaw. And what you tried to do was you had this gun that would shoot the metal marbles from your side to the other guy's side, and you could take marbles from your side and put them in your gun to reload.
The gun would jam easily. You had to be mad skilled.
Yeah, so you would shoot these metal marbles at the triangle and the chainsaw, trying to push them to the other guy's side. And it was fun. A lot of fun.
See, well, my brother and I played it different because we couldn't agree because no one ever wanted to be the chainsaw. So we just played as both of them. Shoot them both in either direction, and the first one person to have any one of them fall into their side loses.
Oh, everyone just go for the chainsaw and screw the triangle.
No, because I'd edge the triangle over there bit by bit, and it worked out pretty well. Now, for
the thing in that game, though, is once it's too close, you can't get it out of there without touching it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, the big problems I always had with the game was, one, my parents never let me play it, because if you've never seen this game, first of all, firing an individual BB made a loud clacking noise.
Oh yeah, this game was like click, 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 click.
No,
it
was like bang, 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 just crazy screaming noise. Pieces of plastic wailing against each other, and kids yelling and screaming. Two, you would shoot maybe 100,000 of these BBs over the course of one game, and it was really hard to pull the trigger. And I would get blisters.
Oh really? Maybe yours is broken.
No, it was hard to pull the trigger unless you wore it out.
Oh, we never had that problem.
Well,
maybe it was a different version of the game I played.
Might have been, because all the force, it didn't have a spring or anything. It shot the ball by having you pull the trigger against resistance, which then pushed the BB out.
Yep, that's what it did. Oh, well.
There was also that game, I forget what it was called, where you had the ships that you put on a big mat on the floor, like a big cardboard board. And then each side you had a submarine, and you flicked little red discs at the other guy's fleet.
I don't remember that at all.
It's a really good game, except that it also gave me blisters.
Huh. Oh, now I'm remembering things like Chutes and Ladders. That was a good game.
Not really.
It was good when you were a little kid. It's better than Candyland.
We always liked Payday because it involved real money. It was like it seemed like it was edutainment.
I remember seeing the board for that game and seeing the box, but I never.
You know what that game was? It was us now paying our bills.
Wow.
But for a kid who doesn't pay bills, it was awesome.
Yeah. What else did we have? We had Free Parking. Was actually a really good game with a Monopoly theme. That had nothing to do with Monopoly except the theme.
Wait, was that the dice game?
No, it had nothing to do with dice whatsoever. You had a parking meter, and you didn't want it to go expire, and you had to keep filling the meter, but you could also get Officer Jones to go get people. There's an Officer Jones card. I think I have the game. We'll play it.
Aha.
It'll be all right. I'm sure it's not the greatest game, but Milborn.
I was about to say Milborn.
It's all the same genre.
I had a knockoff shareware version on the computer called Miles Bones.
We had the real deal.
It's an alright game. Now that I'm more versed in Germanness, I'm not so much of a fan of it.
Yeah, I guess these games really only have nostalgia factors. You know, the old kiddie games.
Remember a Volcano Run or whatever it was called?
No.
It was a gimmicky game. It was probably the first of the gimmicky games that was really marketed on TV.
I thought Dizzy Dizzy Dinosaur was the first gimmicky
No,
one.
this game came out before that.
I thought Mousetrap came out in the 50s.
Yeah, Mousetrap. All right, Mousetrap was the first one, but this game stormed the world as a gimmick.
All right.
You move guys around on a volcano, but if the volcano erupts, you take a little volcano ball and put it at the top and decide where it comes out, and then it rolls along and knocks guys over. And
Oh, I remember now.
yeah,
Reminds me of the Aggro Crag.
the Aggro Crag.
Anyone who doesn't know what that is, shut up. So
Don't make me feel old.
the Dizzy Dizzy Dinosaur was the one where you would move around the board, but occasionally you would turn on this little dinosaur and he would spin around and bump into you. And if he bumped into your guy, you had to go back to the beginning or something, right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
You were trying to move eggs around. You were trying to move eggs around the map without getting Dizzy Dizzy Dinosaur to hit you.
I remember this alligator dentist. We had to pull teeth out.
I remember the alligator
alligator
dentist. I saw the commercials. I didn't buy that piece of crap.
Yeah, I don't think we actually owned it. I think one of our little cousins owned it, and we had to play it with him.
The worst Hanukkah ever was when my mom was like, "Oh, I got a good present for the last day," right? And then on the second to last day, I was looking in the toy catalog, and I was like, "It's Mr. Bucket, isn't it? It's a toy for everybody. You got Mr. Bucket because you thought it's cute, but it's not, and it's gonna be no fun."
The hell's a Mr. Bucket?
This is the worst thing ever. My mom, I don't know why my mom thought it was gonna be a good idea.
What the hell is it?
It's his bucket, right? And
Okay.
the bucket has it's a robotic bucket, and it moves around with wheels on the floor, right? And it has a mouth and the mouth has a hole in it, and he has two hands above his head that go like this to keep you from putting things in the bucket.
Oh, God, I saw commercials for that.
And he opens and closes his eyes all the time. Now, he spits out these balls, and you have a shovel, and you have to pick up the balls with a shovel and put them in the bucket. And if you get all your balls in the bucket, then you win. So basically, it's just everyone runs around the room picking up balls and putting them in the bucket. And after about 2 times, it's not fun anymore. It's just dumb.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go, Mom.
All right, you know what? We've talked about this a long time. We can talk about it a long time more. But stay tuned. We'll do a show whenever we get to it on Lego.
Yeah, Lego.
We'll do a separate one on Nerf.
Nerf.
And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.